Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Josh here with Unconventional Repairs. I typically don't do this type of repair. Most of the stuff I work on is like high-end networking equipment, is what I do for my day job. Uh, but over the last year, I started collecting these retro consoles, and I have been doing, modding or repair work, and kind of figured I'd give it a go. I enjoy watching the videos other people restore them, so I figured I would try my hand at it. This particular one I got off eBay. It came in a lot. This is what it came with. I think all in all I paid about $90, which might be a little overpriced, but honestly I just was looking for a really dirty, crusty console to try to do a restoration video on. Neither one of these I have tried to power on. The Gameboy Advanced SP I'm not doing in this video. It's just going to be the Gameboy Advanced. And I'm going to, see if it'll power on. Even if it does power on, the screen is pretty atrocious. The polarization film is pretty messed up. And I did look around. I was going to try to get some polarization film in, but it just wasn't going to get here in time. I probably will do a future video where I restore OEM Game Boy Advance screen and peel that old polarization off and put a new one on. For this particular video though, because the case or the shell is pretty sun damaged and honestly pretty gross, along with the screen being messed up, I actually have this OEM one. I keep it in the bag, keep an eye on because I just got done scrubbing it. So I had a previous Game Boy Advance that I modded. I put a IPS screen in it, and this was the shell that was left over. The shell wasn't too bad. It was missing a back cover. I just recently bought a back cover. It is going to be third party, but the rest of it will be all OEM. I also, when I modded my previous Game Boy Advanced, I saved the screen for it. So I have an OEM Game Boy Advance screen. And I think, I'm gonna have it here, but I do have a new lens, so the front plastic for this. I have a replacement of those. It's still plastic, but it is brand new. Not OEM, but it will definitely look a lot better than this. So let's throw some batteries in this and see if we get anything out of it. Alright, got the batteries and a game to test it out. So let's see. Game in. Honestly, it'd be pretty nice if this actually did power up. Okay, let's see here. Nope, doesn't look like it's doing anything. So this looks like a completely dead unit. Alright, well, we'll open up and see what we got. Alright, so for taking this one apart, I've got the 6 tri-wing screws and 1 Phillips. Let's get these out of here. Wow, that is pretty dirty. I don't know if you guys can see that too well on the screen. I don't see as much corrosion as I thought I was going to see, but it definitely could use a clean. Man, a lot of dirt in here. Alright, I got 3 Phillips screws here. Let's see. Wow, yeah, I got some corrosion in there for sure. Okay, I'm just gonna set all this stuff to the side and I'll let you guys get a look at the board. God, the buttons are definitely rusted. I don't even know if those are gonna work properly anymore. They do click. Oh man. So this right up here. That's super corroded. All along here. Yeah, that whole chip's corroded. This whole chip's corroded. Surprisingly, the speaker doesn't look too bad. Let's see on the side. I have to look at that chip better. That looks completely cocked. I don't know if you guys can see that one. Right there. It's not even on there straight. And I want to get this power switch cleaned out. Alright. So yeah, this is definitely a very dirty one. Like I said, you know, I got a lot of things I'm not really going to worry about. These I will save for now, just to see if they'll clean up with Retro Bright, but I got a chip out of the corner there. But it might be a fun project, just to kind of play around with. So not going to be using that. Screen, again, it might make for a future video, pulling off this polarization film and, you know, seeing if I can get this one up and running. It's pretty dirty. All these pieces, I'll still save these because physically I don't think there's really anything wrong. There's a few nicks out of them, but I'll still save these. Same with the trigger buttons. I've had third-party ones. In fact, on my current Gameboy Advance, I do have third-party ones, and they just don't feel right. The OEM always feels better, so definitely gonna hang on to those. All the buttons, still hang on to those, especially the power switch. These ones, I'm hanging on to these two. There's no cracks or breaks in it. And this one, if it's intact, which it looks to be, I'm actually going to save this because the one that I had saved out of my other kit, it had cracks and holes all over it. So I'm going to clean this one up and I'm going to use this one for this restoration. side. Alright, time to start working on the cleaning process. I'm just going to use IPA for this. Now, the IPA that I'm using is only 91%. Kind of did some research after the fact and found out that I probably should be using 99, but I don't think it'll be the end of the world. Anything's got to be better than all this junk on here. Try to wipe some of this off, see if we get much dirt off of this. I went bad side using paper towels. Catch on everything. Alright. So that comes into focus there. So that is just, it looks terrible. I might have to reflow all those joints, get some flux in there, but we'll see. Get the other side scrubbed. Wow. That fell right off. But all the footings are completely intact and it is still intact, so just be a component I'll need to hook back on. God, I barely even bumped that. That's crazy. No, if that capacitor fell off that easy, that's probably why I wasn't turning on. Alright, before I get too carried away, I think I am going to make sure I get the power switch cleaned out really good. If I remember right, I saw a video, I should be able to desolder this side and that side, and this metal cover should pop off, and I should be able to get in there to clean it. A little bit of flux right down here. Okay.
carefully wedge this in here. You just heard that pop up a little bit, put in a little more tension. Okay, one side up. Be very careful not to damage any of this.
Now, if people watching this see me do something that they don't agree with for soldering, I'm not surprised. I am completely self-taught when it comes to soldering. I have been soldering for about 8 years now, but I've never tried to take any classes or anything like that. Wow, that actually looks... Well, this part down here looks real clean. This... I don't know if you guys can see that too well. This looks kind of dirty, but this part here looks actually really clean. I'm already learning things. Like, I probably shouldn't use a Q-tip. So, I'll be able to hook it back in, but I pulled out the connector piece.
Alright. Actually, it'll make it a little easier to clean off camera in a second. So, I don't know if you can see on camera, but it was coated black, and I just kind of lightly scraped it off with the tweezers. And then you'll just set it right back down in there. Just like so. Alright.
I guess I'll use my brush on the actual switch then.
Very lightly.
And then I'll use a dry Q-tip just to kind of soak up the IPA a little bit.
Absorb the dirt.
Okay.
Now, switch, carefully lay it back down in there. And line this cover back up. Just like that.
Now, you definitely don't want to use your finger to hold down pressure because heat travels through thin metal like this very quickly and you will burn your finger. So, this type of stuff, usually just press down with tweezers, and I'm going to put a little bit more flex on there.
And we'll see, I might put just a little bit of fresh solder.
Some of this older stuff, it's always good to kind of refresh the solder because it's been sitting for years.
But we'll see. That side looks like it's hooked. So it slides good. Now, grab a little bit more IPA and scrub off all that flux. Now let's reattach the capacitor. Refill this. Actually, I might just take all the old solder off completely. This is basically like really thin braided copper wire, and should pull it right off there. If this video comes out weird, I apologize. The stand that I have isn't the greatest, and actually my phone that I'm using to record this is up above me. So I'm trying to keep my head out of the way, so I can't really get a great idea on what I'm doing from this angle. Alright. Both sides are fresh and clean. Now, some fresh solder here. Take the capacitor. I'm actually going to run just a little bit of flux on here. And I'm going to get a little bit of solder on here, just to kind of like retin these. This looks good. Perfect. Now, when orienting these capacitors, it's actually pretty easy. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it's not a perfect square. So, like this side here is angled and this is angled. And if you look on the board right here, see this part here is angled and this part here is angled. So I'll actually show you what the orientation for these is supposed to be. So we're gonna get that lined up pretty good there. I'm gonna put a little bit more flux on here. And I'm actually gonna get some more solder on it too. Let fresh solder on there. So on these, just kind of have to keep working it side to side until you get to go down. Got that side down. Just like that. Okay, at this point, I do still have some cleaning left to do, but I do want to see if that kind of fixed it. I am gonna, just because I see this is super corroded over here, I am gonna hit this with a little bit more IPA in. So I'm sure this is not working how it should. Alright. Another thing. Ugh. It's kind of gross. Peas, not touching that. I don't know if you can see up in there, but it looks like all the pins are actually in decent shape. Alright. And I'm going to let this let the IPA kind of dry a little bit. A little bit more cleanup where I just put that capacitor back down. I'll let this stuff dry, and I'm going to get my other shell ready, and I'm going to put it back together and see if I get anything out of it. That'll kind of tell me what all I need to be doing. Okay. Got the screen. I'm gonna back this out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, first things first, I'm gonna drop in the screen. I'm still gonna leave that plastic there. Do a little bit of a snug fit, but I'm not actually installing this yet. Just making sure it works. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I got a little bit of dirt or something on the ribbon cable. Make sure I clean that off first. Alright, let's see here. Let's see here. Alright. Got the speaker flipped around. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm literally just going to see if I get anything at all out of this. Okay. Got the switch in there, so let's get a game installed. Oh, it's already been on. I got something out of it already though. Let's see. Turn that off. Back on. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little. It's not loading the game. Okay, hang on. Always a chance my game might be dirty. A tiny bit. Pretty sure this is not the issue. I think some of those chips have a little too much corrosion on them. I'm gonna have to do a bit more work on them. guess I don't even need that. I don't even know what I got there. Alright, let's see here. Oops. Apparently I can't hit with my finger. Yep, it's not loading into the game. Carefully peel that out so you guys can see. It is trying. Yep, just doesn't want to load. Alright, well, continue my cleanup. Powering on is better though. I think the capacitor was the issue on that one. In case anybody that's watching this is wondering, that game is a fully working game. It's one of the main ones I play. Alright. Gonna pause the video while I get set up for this part. Okay, so as you guys saw from the little bit of cleanup I was trying to do, it really wasn't cleaning up that well. Some of these joints are just like super corroded. It's gonna take me quite a bit of work to get them back to looking better. Off camera, I did start doing this chip a little bit, and I think it is looking a lot better. A few things that happened that you may have seen in the video, I rewatched it, and you know, obviously popped this chip off. It just came right off. But also this Q9 chip right here, it popped off. I did find it, but all the legs were corroded. I actually have a footing that I have to repair right there. Yeah, just with the brush, it just knocked it right off of there. So I do have a replacement for that, and I'm thinking that this chip might be why I was not getting any output on the game. So I do have other parts ordered, like I have new trigger buttons coming, both trigger buttons. I have a new link port coming, and I have new battery terminals coming. So I think I'm going to end the part 1 video. I'm going to place this Q9 chip on here and see if I can at least get up and running. Off camera, I am actually going to go and reflow every single joint on all of these chips and try to give it a really good cleaning. Even if replacing the Q9 chip does make it work, I don't know for how long it would work. With all this corrosion, it really needs to be cleaned out of there. So we're going to start it by putting that Q9 chip on there and seeing what we get out of it. Got some of those chips right here. See if I can just get one out of here. Alright. Let's see here. I want to put a little bit of flux on here. Alright, this part I'm gonna have to do off camera because I gotta use my microscope. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, got that chip all replaced on there. I just had to kind of bridge the connection. Not super clean. I'll probably clean it up off camera a little bit more, but the connection is good. So at this point, I'm gonna loosely throw it back together and see if we can get anything out of it. Whether we do or we don't get anything out of it, though, this will be the end of part 1. So, let's see what we get. Okay. Still not in the game. Okay, after messing around with the game slot a little bit, I'm gonna have to do some more cleaning on that, but feeling pretty good about this. There we go, loading into the game. So I do still have a ton of cleanup to do. My sound still isn't working. I'm sure that slot really needs a deep cleaning, but this is definitely progress. Very happy with this. Catch me in part 2.